Hello, Frugal Force. Once again, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty, and this is a comic book review. Now, I've been asked a lot to review this comic book, and I got asked recently on Twitter, and I was a little bit vague and not giving a lot of information on Twitter about my thoughts about this book, because after reading it and really pondering and thinking about it, it was going to be too hard for me to explore and discuss the concept in 180 characters in a tweet. But with that said, some other tweets were mentioned too, so let me dig into this book and tell you what my thoughts were. Now, right off the bat, I will say I enjoyed the cover. I thought the cover art looked very nice. Now, just so everyone knows, this book in particular that I am discussing here is Captain America 2018, #1, that just came out, published on, of course, the 4th of July. The writer is Ta-Nehisi Coates. Yeah, if you're not familiar with him, definitely look him up and things. This is scary because this seems like a guy that hates America almost doing this. Now, I will say, when I did this review, I tried to remove that from my head. Anything that I knew about him, so it removes my preconceived notions. But, you know, so it gives me initial reflection, and then after I think about it with all parts considered, I get a different reaction on this book. The penciler, as you see here too, I cannot pronounce this guy's name. I would absolutely shred it. All right, so with this, the blurb in it for in general is it is winter for America, and over 70 years he has stood in the stalwart defense of our country and its people. And that's true. Captain America has always been for everybody, but in the aftermath of Hydra's takeover of the nation, you know, with Nazi Cap, Captain America is a figure of controversy. And that's an interesting thing because this book almost ignores Mark Waid's run completely so far. It just sort of looks like it almost never happened, which, don't get me wrong, for the most part, that's a good thing because that was not a good series for Captain America. It had a couple issues that were decent, but ultimately had a wide-ranging picture that was nothing but propaganda garbage. And I really was fearing that coming into this book, too. So they've sort of, you know, bypass it, even though actually Waid's book almost eliminated his own book anyway from importance, if you actually read it and understand what I'm talking about with the time travel part in general. So anyway, carrying a tarnished shield, and a new enemy is rising. Who is the power elite? Notice that, power elite. That makes me cringe a little bit just hearing that. And how do they intend to co-opt and corrupt the symbol that is Captain America? So when we go right into this issue, right off the bat, they got to establish that this power elite is a powerful team. So we see them taking out Hydra. So it's sort of like saying we're turning the page on Hydra now, and now this next threat is even bigger. So that starts out okay, but there's just a lot of things here. As I read it, I start going, it makes you think. So I'm digging in. The panels are looking good. The color is good and all that. And this is a setup issue. So, you know, you have to understand the setup issue is going to be setting up a story in general. So you're not going to necessarily see your traditional big hero beating everything up inside. So, so bear in mind here, I want to mention that I think the coloring is really good. It's by Sunny Go, so good coloring there too. Once again, the lettering, it's lettering. I'm not going to judge the lettering. Cover art was, I think, pretty good. It's not Alex Ross's best work, in my opinion, but it's pretty good. So if you remember Nuke, genetically cloned kind of things of him, I'm not going to get into all the detail about that. Now these guys, of course, they have like the captain, you know, they have the American flag on their face, and you see them shooting up civilians, and one of them says, "Never forget our boys." You know, you got to be careful with underlining context. Now, once again, if you don't know who the writer is, this might not mean anything to you. But then you see Captain America's shield fly out and hit one of those guys in the face, and he starts taking them down. And that's pretty cool. But you got to read the panels and the thoughts too. It says, "That's where I come in. Those men brought terror to the capital of the free world. But they also found me, a soldier at home or away, a man loyal to nothing except the dream." And there you do get a really cool picture of Captain America at that point. But if you notice in the artwork, he has no pupils. Where is his pupils? It is also there we find that Captain America is not alone. He's got Bucky helping him as well. And he does mention that, you know, in a way that Bucky has a tougher way of taking care of things than he does. Because, you know, Bucky will shoot them down. So that part's pretty cool. As I said, the art here, the panels are looking pretty good. You know, and Captain America sees that, you know, people are watching, so he's careful about killing people and things. But once again, Captain America has been a soldier. He knows he's killed people, and at least they show that, admit that he's done that. But they act like it's so terrible to him. Well, first of all, are these really even real people in the first place that he's fighting and taking out? Makes you question that. I mean, what's the point of that? And so you see Captain America say, when these nuke copies are shooting at him, betrayed our boys to Hydra, because Captain America was Nazi Cap. He says, that wasn't me, soldier. So they're sort of talking about that, how he's dealing with that, how it isn't really him. And it's a pretty cool fight scene. I'm going to give him credit for that. The fighting in here is good. Now, I can't show a whole lot because I don't want to get a copyright strike, and this is a new book. Okay? But there's a couple things that I think is important. It says, after all these years, this still doesn't come easy. I'm a warrior who hates war. Bucky sees things differently. And that's a good point, that there is those differences between them. And then there's another panel that goes, by the time Bucky got out, he'd seen the worst of human nature and learned to accept losses. And that, but Cap doesn't like to do that. And then you see that nuke guy copy kind of guy say, why, Captain, why did you betray us? Why let us die nameless? And so, the panels, once again, are pretty good. And so far, it isn't looking too bad. Cap has to, help this injured guy, too. And their helicopters come, and we see Sharon Carter, which is also, still working and networking with Steve Rogers as well as Bucky. And I don't want to give too much of all the story here, but let's say they help out. Okay? And, if you want to read it for yourself. I understand if you don't. Okay? So, going through that part is, once again, everything is seeming okay, but we have to look farther than just what's immediately there. The injured man has a son, and Cap tells him, the kid, that he has to be brave for all of us, for your country. But here's where you got to be careful. Okay, this is very, very important, I think, in what we read next and what Steve Rogers says, or actually what he thinks. He says, it's a good speech, but still there are losses. What speech is there for this mother who's lost her 2 daughters? What words can explain, and here's the kicker, what words can explain how our government allowed this? Our government allowed this. So what do you want? Do you want complete control where nobody can do anything? Because by giving rights, they has to have rights and be able to do things and have free expression and of thought, actions, and things like that. We have laws, though, to safeguard it. But government doesn't allow this. Government can't stop everything. That makes no sense. What words can explain how our government allowed this? How the killers bear the flag of that government. The same flag as me. That's troubling to me. Very, very troubling. Why? Once again, does it have to be thrown down to the government allowed this? Think about that. We then find that General Thunderbolt Ross is back. He's been released out of jail. And we get a little box that says, there's an entire program that's been set up for resistors with shady pasts. They've even got Bucky status all cleared up. Keep in mind, resistors with shady pasts. I think this is where this is once again troubling. We have to look a little deeper into this issue. Okay, because at its face, you might not notice certain things that do tend, in my opinion, to raise some flags. Just bear that in mind. There was a protest this morning. Hydra nostalgics and their opposition. We thought there might be trouble, but we never expected this. Very subtle little things in this book make me wonder what the true intent of this book is. So General Thunderbolt Ross tells Sharon Carter that he wants to speak to Bucky and her in private. Sort of like a mission with leaving Cap out because Captain America's tarnished image. We then cut to a dinner scene with Steve Rogers and Sharon Carter, and they're discussing, the things in the past. And you can see that Steve's questioning about people and trusting him after that happened, even though it wasn't him. And Sharon says, hey, I can't tell you this information about this mission or whatever that's going to go on. And, that causes a little bit of a rift. So the rest of the issue really is just setting up this new powerful underground team. It's a common thing for a startup issue. You have to take something down to make something look more powerful. Now, I did skip something here with any intention. So I'm gonna get back to that. So bear with me here, okay? If I didn't care about this or know what Marvel's agendas are or this person, I might have looked at it and said, okay, it's an okay book. It's probably a C, it's a startup issue. But the fact is, I know Marvel, and I know about this writer, and I challenge you, don't just take my word for it. Look up this writer and look into him and what he says and does. And then that's what scares me about this. And I don't think we're going to truly know more until issue 2. Because really, if we get into it, there's a couple really big glaring things that I think need to be pointed out. If you look, this whole issue, for one, seems to be under like a secret group of Nazis or whatever. And you can see that they're controlling all the levels of power. And they're so powerful, they're more powerful than Hydra because they stomped them out. Once again, what's that power group going to be? And you have to consider the writer. Who is this going to be? It's probably going to be, once again, a group of Nazis type of thing, like we've seen a zillion times before, which is, once again, we got to punch a particular group politically to force a piece of propaganda, resist propaganda, if you will. I did take a little bit of that from Edward Boyette because we chatted about that on Twitter, and I've seen that very same thing, and he mentioned something too which made me go, yep, it jumped out to me as well. And that's one of the points I want to fixate on. On this particular page here, it says, the problem is the world I've come back to. And this is Steve here, one that Hydra didn't just conquer, but broke. Really? It broke the United States? I don't think so. But then on that particular panel, and it's very important, you see this on TV, Dr. Celine Galileo, chair of the newly formed task force on faith-based initiatives. And they click, change it. What? Why did that even need to be there? That panel, with that section of comment, could have been any kind of random news issue or problems. But notice that, faith-based initiatives, task force on that. Why do we need a task force on faith-based initiatives? Once again, consider the writer. So is this going to mean then that this power elite group is a bunch of faith crazy, far fringe faith groups that you pin everybody of Christianity again as, which is not true, is not how we are? That scares me. The White House praised von Strucker for aiding in the destruction of several Hydra splinter groups. And then click, it gets turned off. So there's some glaring issues with this. As I said, it's a setup issue, but it just seems like it's very subtle little propaganda thrown in, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it unfold the next few issues. I think he's being subtle here, and maybe he's going to continue to try to be subtle and try to be, I'm smart, you guys won't catch us, I'm taking jabs at Christianity or other faiths and things like that. I don't like it. I don't like where it's going. I really wanted to like this book. I really did. The good things I can say on it are the coloring, the art is good, but as for a setup issue, it sets up the story well, the pacing's good, but I really fear the direction of this book. I really do, and I don't trust this writer and this book in his hands, and this issue did not make that, did not make me feel any more secure about, oh, okay, it's in good hands. No, it actually doubled down and made me go, yeah, there's reasons for me to be suspicious of this. And I think you should too. Truly, think about it. Look into that writer, look into this book, and tell me what you think. Is this a book you need? You know what? I'm going to say hold off and wait. Absolutely. Because you know what? I have a feeling this is just going to be another propaganda piece. But if you're dying for Captain America, I would really actually suggest getting some older issues. Don't waste your time on this. As I said, the artwork is pretty strong and things, but I just fear where this book is going, and I can't see pumping in a bunch of money into a book that's most likely going to end up being just a propaganda piece that's pushing a particular ideology from a guy that's pretty much an extremist. All right, well, that's my views. Do you think I need a tinfoil hat on this? Am I reading too much into this? Or do you think, yeah, I'm probably onto something here? Let me know. If you enjoyed this video that I rambled on a bit, please be sure to hit like and subscribe and hit that notifications bell. It'll really help us out. All right, until next time, keep it frugal.